started. Okay, I think everything's working. Yeah, I think so. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Friday afternoon. Sorry I'm late. Got caught up in some stuff. It's my fault. I got no excuse, boss. Lots going on. A lot of balls in the air. What? Yes. So, catching up on some stuff, and not the least of which is making sure that some of the audio issues I had this morning are solved. So, we should be good. I hope we're good. I hope you're good. That's the important thing. How are you? And hello and hi, lovely and most talented and smart and adorable chat room in the world, including our trolls. Some people think that when I compliment the regular chatters that I'm only going after people who like and approve of what I do. Oh, by no means. Please do not labor under the misapprehension that I only like the people that like me. What year do you think this is? I mean, if we learned anything, it's that if keep your friends close and monetize your enemies. I think that's is that the new phrase? I think it should be. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you so much. Look at these lovely people up here behind my head who are doing wonderful things. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the tip jar thing over there and all that loveliness. Hooray, I'm glad you got a notification. You're the only one because I've been shadow banned by the algorithm. I'm being shadow banned, and the deep state establishment is trying to stop my message from getting out, and it's up to you. You must like and subscribe and give a thumbs up. Otherwise, my message will not get out. Also, commenting. Is it working? Are they buying this bullshit? This desperate plea. Now, I'd just be happy enough if you'd subscribe or whatever. Look at that. It worked, though. Hype train. Thank you, people at our lovely Twitchosphere. Oh, my little screen went out where I'm on my mic again down there. It's been fritzing. It's because I'm nervous. It's bothering me. What are you doing? No nipplegate? What was I nippling earlier? What are we talking about? Quite frankly, all right, I should have more listeners. That's true. I should have more listeners and more viewers, and it takes time, and I'm okay with that. We're growing this thing. I'm up against channels that have been around for a decade or bought into the service with $1 million. So they purchased their first 2 million subscribers. I won't say who, but let's just say they don't live in the United States all the time, and they piggybacked off of another network that they were originally on and took that original network and shit on them for money, like turned it into Ruben Door. I don't know. Anyways, and man, thank you. Hype train number 3. Hype train. Yep. You people you're very warm. Some of you are hot. You're hot right now. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much. Keeps their channels. Yes, I keep their channels from getting rusty. It's true. It's very true. So the FD-1023 came out. And for those of you who don't know, that was the forum that everybody was like, it's unclassified. I don't know why they won't show it. And the FBI was like, well, because it'll reveal who the classified human source is. And that puts classified human sources' lives in danger. And even if this one doesn't give a shit because it's Rudy Giuliani, excuse me, maybe the other ones will go, wait a minute. Just if this becomes political, some motherfucker can release this thing and I can get my ass kicked because they released we didn't release your name, just everybody you hung out with. Oh, okay. I feel completely safe. Can we just rent My Blue Heaven for these fuckers? Does anything? Nobody knows. All right. Nobody knows how this shit works anymore. Nobody cares, I guess. Anyways, the big question, of course, is does it reveal anything? And what it reveals, is it impeachable? Impeachable? Could it be impeachable? Glenn Beck, who is using the make me look like the world's oldest toddler filter, is asking the question that everybody wants. And of course, Greg Gutfeld, I think, wants to talk about it, but I don't know because the title of his video is "Guess What I've Got," and I think we're pretty sure it's just the clap. RFK, of course, is a mess, and is went straight to Newsmax. That's right, just that's how well it's going. Straight from the committee hearing where he's taking the spittle on tour and to Newsmax, and then of course something about the swamp, and then Trump called into Rob Schmidt's show, and Rob couldn't be happier because he shows a piece of Schmidt, and he knows it, and it's difficult, but he occasionally gets a good gift, from somebody like he'll talk. And then of course, Don Jr. has officially reached the butt knuckle of the internet. He's on Flashpoint. We'll see if we have time for any of this stuff. Oh, and Ted Cruz is, I don't know what happened either. I feel like he fell asleep on a beach in Mexico and nobody woke him. I don't know what's happening here. There's I'm growing a beard to look more manly because my face is not doing me any favors. I get that. I understand that. I feel you. And then there's I've given up. Because this is like, there's almost, he looks like a before picture when they, on a homeless jobs program. I don't know. So, all right. Let's see what so impeachable. Is it impeachable? Now, spoiler alert. Well, I should have a spoiler alert button, shouldn't I? I should. I got to build one. I got to make a spoiler alert graphic that comes up. Spoiler alert. No. No. I'll give you a no for each one of the question marks. No, it's not impeachable. No, you won't be able to impeach anyone based on what's in that. No, you won't. No. Is it impeachable? I don't know. Do you think accusations, third party, fourth gen, third party hearsay accusations should be impeachable? Go explain, and then let's go talk about the impeachment of Donald Trump, and you tell me again why you think he should have been. All right, yeah. See what I'm saying? No. That said, here we go.
Well, hello, Stu.
Glenn, how are you?
Also, insofar as I know, both of those rooms are at Glenn's house / compound / facility. And I'm not sure. I'm fairly certain there was they had a unionization scare at the Blaze where everybody said, if Glenn's going to fart like that, he should go do it in the garage. So they built this studio when he had COVID for the third time. And anytime he's sick or gassy, they move him out there. Or it's Stu, and I've got it backwards, but it doesn't really matter. That's my guess.
Very good. We're not even going to have time to talk about Oppenheimer, which I'm so excited about. But
we're not going to have time to talk about it because I haven't seen it yet. And I'm so fucking ignorant on the topic that if I start talking about it, look at the look on Stu's face. Stu, you can tell. I don't know how long has Stu worked with Glenn Beck? Long enough, and I think we all appreciate this, long enough to be sick and tired of him pretending to know shit he doesn't know.
I'm about 5,000 miles away from an IMAX, and I really want to see it on IMAX.
I have tickets tomorrow for 9:15 a.m., which is a prime time to go see a movie.
It looks so good.
Everything's sold out.
Looks so good.
Wait a minute. How Stu, you've stumbled onto something, my friend. You had to buy a 9:15 a.m. IMAX movie ticket, and you can afford to. Let's just start there. And the reason you had to do that is because all the movies are sold out. Does that sound like a society in collapse? The world's turning to shit. America, the dollar doesn't mean dick. Nobody can do anything anymore. The country is in turmoil. We're in a horrible recession. But I can't even get a movie ticket except at 9 a.m. Do you see the mismatch between this fucker's reality and what he sells? Okay, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be fine.
Everything's sold out.
It's fantastic.
Everything's sold out. It's fantastic. Sold out because it's the only safe place to hide from the dangerous Democrat cities. Fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell us how the country's falling apart. And yet Americans, in spite of the fact that the country is collapsing all around us, it still has time to see a matinee. I just love this. Because I don't think they understand how fucking stupid they sound.
All right, let me tell you, I guess something happened yesterday. I was watching the mainstream media, and I didn't see anything, so it must not be important. But Chuck Grassley came out yesterday and published...
Wait, he's gay? Chuck Grassley is gay? That's the biggest coming out since I would have to go with one of the extras in Brokeback Mountain. I just want everybody to know that I was born this way.
An unclassified FBI document, which is from a confidential human source.
Rudy Giuliani, right?
And this is a trusted source.
Well, a formerly trusted source. Because I have to say, they have not been able to corroborate materially anything in this. The $5 million that allegedly this dude paid, that isn't anywhere. The recordings, right? They don't exist. And the confidential human source that they used said that you shouldn't do a deal with Hunter Biden. You should do a deal with run-of-the-mill, normal oil and gas guys like my buddies Lev and Igor. They'll meet you in Houston.
From the FBI. This is something that the FBI said, we didn't have it. And then when they were pushed, they were like, well, okay, we have it, but we can't produce it. Why not? Well, it's...
Tell their answer, Glenn. Explain why they don't want to produce it for reasons that have nothing to do with this, but just the fact that confidential human sources are going to get fucking nervous if they think they can be on the receiving end of a political attack in the future, which is exactly what's happening here.
It's in my other suit. So finally, even though the FBI would not produce it, Chuck Grassley had a copy of it, which is really interesting, isn't it? So Joe and Hunter Biden are involved with the Ukrainian gas company, Burisma.
No, they're not.
And this is a document from a confidential human source trusted by the FBI that shows exactly what was going on.
Except it doesn't.
And how the FBI quashed.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Now I got to draw the thing up. Hold on. There we go. Have to open this friggin' thing. Okay. Just so you know, this is the actual document. So we've gone through this already. But the confidential human source was operating on behalf of the Trump team. First introduced at Natural Gas Burisma Holdings through somebody, Alexander Ostapenko, another person. And by the way, this person is blacked out. For full identification of Ostapenko, see attachment to blah, 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 to see who that person is. This one we don't have any extra information on. CHS and Ostapenko traveled to Ukraine and went to Burisma's office that was located 20 minutes away from the city center. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss Burisma's interest in purchasing U.S.-based oil and gas business for purpose of merging it with Burisma for purposes of conducting an IPO in the U.S. This is the advice, allegedly, that Hunter Biden and the other guys at Rosemont Seneca, not just Hunter Biden, were giving to Zlochevsky to say, this will stabilize your company, this will make it legit, and unfortunately for how you used to run things, it will put you under the laws and restrictions that the U.S. government puts on oil and gas. However lax they may be, they're not as gelatinous and lubed up as perhaps the Russians have set you up with. So we'll go back to that. Now, let's go to here. Here we go.
A probe into the Ukrainian prosecutor general Viktor Shokin. Remember, do we have that audio by any chance, Sarah? It was the time when Joe Biden was over and he came back home and he was, I think, at the Council of Foreign Relations, and he brags, yeah, well, they had a really...
Yeah, he bragged about it because everybody wanted it done and he got it done. You chintzy fuck. Hold on one second. Let me hold 70 billion Ukraine corruption. I think we can find this in here. I'm trying to find the actual date on this. It's 2023. Staff level agreement. There we go. Yeah. So I have a couple of things I want to share with you guys. This is good stuff. Let's see. Ukraine 70 billion. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wait, hold on. Okay, this will do. Okay. So first of all, let's go to this one right here. Yeah. So couple of things. One is the timing. This is important. 2014, 2015, 2016, into that period. And right about the time the U.S. was nervous about giving $1 billion in loan guarantees, which was not direct cash. It was loan guarantees, money from elsewhere. The money that we would be guaranteeing would primarily come from the International Monetary Fund. This would be our point. Our position would be we'll back $1 billion of, and these other countries will back about, $1 billion between them. The EU is in general will back a few, and then the IMF will base the rest of it on collateral within the country and that kind of stuff. And one of the problems why the United States and why the IMF was nervous about giving Ukraine at that point billions of dollars for reconstruction and fixing it after Yanukovych had been deposed and all that kind of stuff is because of the history of the situation over there. And here we have, this is, here you go. This is what they were dealing with. This is February 27th, 2014. Okay. 9:25 a.m., which is my birthday, 9:25. Anyways, Ukraine PM says 37 billion went missing under Yanukovych. Yanukovych was the former head of Ukraine who now lives in Russia under the protection of Vladimir Putin, and he fucked off with a bunch of this money. Now, again, this is exactly what Hunter Biden was brought in to fix and what he ultimately did fix. So, okay. New PM says economy needs tough measures, says 37 billion of state loans disappeared, puts capital flight at 70 billion in 3 years. Ukraine's new prime minister said on Thursday loans worth 37 billion had gone missing from state coffers during ousted President Viktor Yanukovych's rule and warned that unpopular measures were needed to salvage the economy. With the hryvnia currency in freefall and concerns about the low level of foreign currency reserves growing, Yatsenyuk, who's one of the people who everybody says that the U.S. put in to as part of the coup. You'll hear this name get dropped a lot because Victoria Nuland had a lot of faith in Yatsenyuk. Said the country urgently needed loans from the International Monetary Fund, which is visiting Kiev next week. The scale of the alleged theft implied by Yatsenyuk in a speech to parliament was jaw-dropping, even for a population now used to the tales of Yanukovych's extravagance and lavish lifestyle, including his luxury residence outside of Kiev. The average salary in Ukraine is about $500 a month. In addition to the missing $37 billion, Yatsenyuk said as much as $70 billion had been sent out of the country during Yanukovych's 3-year rule, although he did not make clear how much of this capital flight was illegal. I want to report to you the state treasury has been robbed and is empty. Hence the bailout, hence the number $70 billion. The money that they currently needed, that they had, and essentially $30 billion on top of that for any growth or protection of the industries during this unstable time, gets you to $70 billion. There's a myriad of ways where the United States and corporations and other foreign governments jumped in to help, but the overall loan was coming directly from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and then everybody else either backed it up or supported it or sent money to it. Now, this fuckhead doesn't know anything about that. Nothing. He doesn't know who Yatsenyuk is. He doesn't know who Yanukovych is. He doesn't even know who Paul Manafort worked for in Ukraine. No idea. I would love to pop quiz this dipshit anytime. And here's the thing. This is not the same thing as walking up to a random person on the street and demanding that they, tell you who the 3rd president or the 7th president or the capital of a bunch of states is. This fucker talks about this every day, just like I do. And there are a lot of names floating around. You might need a moment to go, wait, which one was it? It was this guy. Yeah, so it was this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. After a while, you should know all this shit. You should know all this shit very clearly. He doesn't know any of it. He doesn't know any of these people. Has no idea or intentionally is ignorant about the details in this. But we'll see. Beyond dumb voices, and I'm not against a good dumb voice now and again. Boy, you know that. As a matter of fact, I think it's considered goddamn presidential.
Yeah, look.
But this dude is going to explain to us, I suppose, the details in this document, because it's not up on screen.
A bad prosecutor over there, and I told him they gotta get rid of them. Otherwise, I'm not going to give them the billions of dollars.
No, single billion, and we weren't going to give them, and it's a loan guarantee, not actual cash. And again, please play the tape. Please play the recording. Call him. Those are the 2 words that flatten this whole stupid argument.
Okay, so here are the key takeaways.
Okay, so he's not playing.
Burisma Holdings hired Hunter Biden to have his father protect the company
from Russians and oligarchs, I guess. And by the way, to have his father protect the company. In what way? Because the prosecutor they put in after Shokin was booted followed through on prosecutions against Zlochevsky, and he split. He fled the country. That's why he was on the run.
During the first meeting with a confidential human source, senior official Vadim Podjarski reportedly stated that Burisma had hired Hunter Biden to, quote, protect us through his dad from all kinds of problems.
The kind of problems, by the way, that the confidential human source was bringing in his briefcase.
In another meeting, the confidential human source conversed with the CEO, Zlochevsky, about President Joe Biden's recent declaration that Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin, who was investigating Burisma at the time, was corrupt and ought to be removed from office. He said in that instance, not to fret about any of the adverse impact such a declaration might have on Burisma's prospects, saying, don't worry, Hunter will take care of all of those issues through his dad. Biden...
Which, again, this guy is quoting someone who was forced to flee the country. After these meetings where he's like, I got it covered. Hunter's got he's going to protect me. I hired this guy to cover my ass. It didn't work.
Succeeded in getting Shokin fired. He said he was going to withhold $1 billion in loan guarantees. Then Burisma, through the confidential human source, said that they were afraid that Shokin's probe would stop its efforts to get publicly traded in the U.S. They were trying to merge with a U.S. company.
Were they?
They wanted to be publicly traded and make all kinds.
No. Hunter Biden was suggesting that's how they do it, because this would actually grow and the business safely. And these guys were coming in going, no, let us do it. The CHS and his other dudes are going, no, that guy, fuck that guy. Let us handle it. And apparently, it looks like he did. The deal never went through. Again, I blame Lev and Igor. But the deal didn't go through, and that guy ended up having to fuck off.
The money here in the U.S., they were trying to do all of this, and Jolzewski said, this is going to...
I'm going to enjoy the fact that he's just going to pronounce the name differently every time he says it. Zlochevsky. But Joe Chevsky, whatever. Let's just go with that.
Screw everything up. And the confidential human source was told that if you just retain Hunter Biden, we retained Hunter Biden, so everything will be okay. Burisma also knew Hunter Biden had no experience.
But point of order, Mr. Chairman. Was everything, in fact, okay after that for this guy? Was it okay? Is it? I mean, I guess if you ask him, how is it being on the lam for 3 years and having to live at the leisure and pleasure of Vladimir Putin? It's okay. It's not the best, but it's okay.
Thought he was dumb and sought additional counsel.
Okay, again, I think this guy is dumb, but I'm putting my entire financial and legal future in his dumb hands. That really happened. That really happened. That was a real conversation. I mean, obviously, it was translated, so.
During the confidential human source's first meeting with Burisma officials, the company discussed the composition of its board and the aid of the Bidens, to which the confidential human source questioned why they sought additional assistance. Pojarski replied that Hunter Biden was not smart and they wanted to get additional counsel. That's a quote. During the conversation, the confidential human source advised him to at least hire more conventional U.S. oil and gas advisors, citing the Bidens' lack of experience in the industry.
And that's when he set up the meeting with them, with one of their competitors, actually, to buy the same company with Lev and Igor in Houston at Club H.
Zevsky acknowledged the Biden shortcomings, then called Hunter stupid and suggested that the Burisma CEO's dog was smarter than the first son. Now,
yeah, I agree. I can't figure out why someone would deal in billions of dollars and life and death criminal matters, and just go, don't worry, we have someone dumb in charge. We're good. Who wouldn't say that to a stranger they've just met? It's one thing to say that this confidential human source is trusted by the FBI, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that to speak this freely with someone you just met on that level of just international political intrigue and criminality, I'm going to guess they'd have to be, I don't know, someone whose reputation precedes them. You know what I mean? Somebody like that has like an, I don't know, hashtag America's mayor kind of a thing. You know what I mean? That's where you would sit there and smoke cigars and talk shit, right?
I just want you to know, we don't know anything about the CEO's dog. So that may not be such a slam. That dog, I mean, you can train a German Shepherd to find keys. I mean, you can't train him to lose a laptop, but you can train him to find keys. That's the truth. And so then...
Yeah, I'm honest to God, I don't know why he just doesn't retire and sell his jokes to Greg Gutfeld, because that's the quality.
The confidential human source testified that he believed the payments made to the Bidens were illicit in nature. The CEO dismissed the confidential human.
And he was comfortable talking to this dude. This confidential human source is just a nobody, just a business guy, Is this person, for the record, is this person a lawyer? Because I mean, it'd be one thing if they had, I don't know, a moniker like America's mayor that allowed you to drop your guard. But if you also believed on some level that if you just gave him a dollar bill and said, I'm retaining you for legal services, and then he couldn't repeat anything you said going forward, that would make you, more open to, like, right away start explaining your entire bribery scheme to a stranger.
Source proposal that they pay a lawyer $50,000 to litigate a case in Ukraine.
We're going to find out that Zlochevsky's dead, right? We're going to find out that he's been dead since before these meetings happened. Because he's gone. Nobody knows where he is.
An idea that elicited laughs from Zlochevsky, who quipped.
Zlochevsky. I like that one. Stick with that one. Don't try to put the Z and the L next to each other. You'll blow a tonsil.
As to the expense of the related to paying the Bidens to handle matters, he said,
of the related to paying the Biden matters.
Quote, it costs $5 million to pay one Biden, $5 million to pay another Biden. He then, the confidential...
Yeah, this is the where they got the $5 million for each conversation. Now, we now know, because of the IRS meeting and all that kind of stuff, and the Ukrainians and all the investigations around this, that all total, Rosemont Seneca, the company involved in Burisma, didn't get more than $6 million. And then I think another, a couple $100,000 for legal fees. I'm just saying 10 is more than 7. And especially if there are other people involved. If you'll notice, Comer has started saying, this is like $7 million to the Bidens and their associates. Like, you mean every employee?
Source warned him against retaining Hunter Biden and not to make it an international incident of the Shokin case. Zlochevsky contended that it was
Zlochevsky, but that seems like a weird warning. Run that by me again.
Human source warned him against retaining Hunter Biden and not to make it an international incident of the Shokin case. Zlochevsky
not to make an international incident of the Shokin case, because people will point out that Shokin was indeed not going after corruption in Burisma. He was indeed aiding and abetting Zlochevsky. The concern was they were going to swap somebody out. They were, in theory, at the time, the bribe was to Biden to keep Shokin in place.
Contended that it was too late to change course and that both Joe and Hunter had pressed him to keep Hunter on the board. Don't worry, this thing will go away, the executive said. It's too late. We had already paid the Bidens.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The way this works out. There was a guy who was being investigated by the Inspector General and the effectively their anti-corruption DA, and he was going after this guy, Zlochevsky. And Zlochevsky decided, hey, I got a way out of this. I'm going to hire the vice president's kid to be on the board of my energy group, and that will give me cover, and I'll bribe him and his dad with $5 million each, and they'll keep this guy from investigating me, and they'll protect me. So he whips out his checkbook, and he gives each of them $5 million and bounces it all around the world, and it ends up, buying shutters in someplace in Delaware. And then Joe Biden, after he's cashed this poor man's $5 million check, rolls in there, bounces Shokin, and replaces him with a guy who's worse. Goes after him, and he has to leave his own company and flee the country. I swear to, what's the point of the bribe in the first place? What in the world? What in the Sam Hill is going on here? Right. If you can't trust a blackmailer.
Then the Burisma executive also said during a phone call, apparently there are phone calls, there are tape recordings of these conversations.
Apparently. He's just waiting for a moment when he's in a tight spot to release them. That was the quote. A tight spot.
I can't.
I can't what? I can't believe I haven't heard them already. I can't believe that this guy's been on the run for 3 years and he hasn't released the audio of these things. I can't believe the audio, even if they did show up because of ChatGPT and AI. I can't. What can't you believe?
I just don't know how the people in the press sleep at night.
Well, they don't use my pillows. I'll give you that. And secondly, stupid, you're the one who looks like you're losing sleep. Am I think this is projection.
Your president has sold the country out.
How? What did they get? What did this guy get? A free ticket out of town? What do you think, he's in the witness relocation program? Maybe he's his own confidential human source. What'd they get? What'd they get that they wouldn't have gotten anyways? In the meeting, in the speech he gave at the Council on Foreign Relations, he's telling the story. The guy he's talking to says, "You can't do that. I'll call the president." And Joe Biden says, "Call him." Because he was sent there by Obama to do that. You don't think Shokin was on the fucking list that the IMF had and the EU had, and the fucking Congress wanted this asshole gone?
I remember when I was working at Fox.
This is a statement so many people can say now.
And this was a whole other era. It was 2008. And
oh yeah, when you guys were pushing the whole, like, he's born in Kenya, and there's a lot of questions about where he was. I mean, Kenyan birth certificate. He might be born in Kenya. I don't even think Kenya. Remember that? Yeah, around then. Oh, and where somehow the economy crashing was Obama's fault in his first year because it happened right before he was elected.
I said, President Obama is lying to you about this.
In 2008? Lying to you about what?
And Roger Ailes called me into his office and he said, "Don't say that." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Don't say that the president is lying. You can use any kind of other language, but don't use that." And I said, "But it's true." And he said, "I know it's true. Everybody knows it's true." He said, "But people don't want to hear that their president is a liar. Soften the language."
So that's the lesson he learned during the Trump years. And now he's just blowing it off again.
There's respect for the office of the president. I disagreed with him. I continued to call him a liar because he was. And maybe it was just a generational thing. But you're president, and I can't believe I'm saying this.
I can't either because I don't know what you're basing it on. Here's what, Glenn. Let me show you how this works. Glenn Beck is a liar. Glenn Beck is lying to you. Now, you can soften the language and say he's paraphrasing from the document that he's reading, or he's assuming facts not in evidence based on that idea, or he is convinced of the guilt of someone from third-hand knowledge, but he is conveying it not as, in my opinion, based on what I have read, the president is a liar, but indeed, this is a fact. What I am conveying to you is factual in this document and therefore factual in my saying it. And therefore, specifically, and I can say this without reservation, Glenn Beck is a liar. Glenn Beck is lying. Now, the only real question left is he just lying to his listeners, or is he stupid enough to be lying to himself? Because again, it's the only way he can get what little sleep he gets at night.
Your president is on the take from foreign countries.
No, he's not. And if he is, he is skull fucking every single one of them because they're not getting anything in return for their money.
One of which is our biggest enemy, China.
Okay. All right. What is Joe Biden? If he's on the take, what are they getting? What is China getting in exchange for their money? And does it involve them wearing a zipper hood? Because I think it does.
The other one is the one that we're currently sending billions of dollars to. We're not tracking the money.
Yes, we are. Let's see, hold on. One second. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for a specific story. It's a little older. It's always this. Okay, hold on. Yes. Oh, that's why I misspelled it. I'm sorry. News. There we go. 1 second. And yeah, here you go. Let's just grab this here. This would be yeah, here you go. Oh, I know. There you go. McConnell and other Republican senators make secret visit to Ukraine. The visit by the Senate minority leader included a meeting with the Ukrainian president in Kiev. Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the minority leader, visited Ukraine on Saturday to meet with Vladimir Zelensky. Leading the latest delegation of American lawmakers to the country is the United States deepens its commitment. The surprise visit by Mr. McConnell was accompanied by 3 other Republican senators. Comes as the Senate is working to pass a $40 billion emergency military and humanitarian aid package for Ukraine. It follows a string of other clandestine visits, including First Lady Joe Biden and Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The trip, a rare international visit for McConnell, highlights the widespread bipartisan support for Ukraine in Washington as the country tries to fend off Russia's invasion, even as questions remain about the Biden administration's overall strategy towards conflict and the scope of the American assistance. This is from May of 2022. Joined by Senators John Barrasso of Wyoming, member of the leadership team in the Foreign Relations Committee, John Cornyn of Texas, member of the Intelligence Committee, Susan Collins of Maine, who sits on the Intelligence Committee and the Appropriations Committee, which oversees government funding. Defending the principles of sovereignty, promoting stability in Europe, and imposing costs on Russia's naked aggression have a direct and vital bearing on America's national security and vital interests. Mr. McConnell said in his statement, it is squarely in our national interest to help Ukraine achieve victory. On Thursday, the Senate failed to expedite a package of $40 billion as one Republican Senator, Rand Paul of Kentucky, refused to agree to waive, by the way, whose father wouldn't have even had a shot at the presidency if Russians hadn't tipped up his presidency and tried out the Bernie bro strategy on early Ron Paul voters, and also helping this dickhead. So I can understand why he'd be upset. Refused to agree to waive procedural hurdles and proposal measure without being granted without an opportunity to add a proposal establishing an inspector general to oversee how the money is spent. The measure is still expected to pass as soon as next week, and it indeed did. They have been there multiple times. They are looking at where stuff is going. And also, can I just say, there is, so far, there has not been a single case that I have seen legitimately where American military weapons from Ukraine have ended up anywhere on the black market. That there has been footage in Central African Republic or in Sudan or in the Middle East or you know, even the stuff floating around Afghanistan, like the trucks and some of the guns that they had. You know what those were used for? Oh, fuck. I don't even... Hold on. So one of the big things was we're leaving all this stuff... I mean, this has been the story. Brand border. Here you go. This... I got to do this. News. Wink. This happened a bit ago. Yeah, this was a month ago. So one of the big things that that if you listen to Republicans talk about what's going on in what happened in Afghanistan, we left $1 billion, we have billions of dollars worth of stuff there, all this billions and billions, and brand new shiny shit that's everywhere and la-di-di-da. And what's it going to be used for? It's going to be turned on our own people, or it's going to attack our partners in Pakistan and blah, blah, whatever. What ultimately happened, though, with that that gear in particular was this. Iran exchanges heavy gunfire with Taliban on Afghan border, escalating tensions over water rights. The last use of the military equipment, the trucks, and some of the rifles that they've got. And by the way, if you look at the images, you know, 8 out of 10 of the rifles are Kalashnikovs. They're AK-47s or some derivation thereof. So if we left them all those billions of brand new, amazing, then why are still 8 out of 10 of the rifles are using Russian? And it isn't ammo because they fire the same fucking rounds. Anyways, all right. So this is where Kabul is, but the dust up happened over here. The Taliban and Iran exchanged heavy gunfire Saturday on the Islamic Republic's border with Afghanistan, killing and wounding troops while sharply escalating rising tensions between the two countries amid a dispute over water rights. And there's a long story about like Iran and Afghanistan had this treaty about water because this is one of those situations where the water, enters the aquifer and enters the rivers in Afghanistan, and Iran needs it. And Iran's been a stable-ish country for a very long time, and Afghanistan is almost never. So there's this, it's very murky on how they retain control of that. Well, the more stable Afghanistan gets, the more that water gets diverted for Afghanistan's uses. But the more unstable it is, and the more of a mess it is, the more that benefits Iran ultimately. So Iran has played a part in fucking with everybody who tries to balance the power of any sort, either on behalf of the Soviet Union or on behalf of the Afghans themselves, as the US and Australia and France and everybody else did. That Iran has a vested interest in Afghanistan just being a bunch of loose territories and not a functioning country. So they are always a spoiler anytime somebody tries to stabilize Afghanistan, because partly this water issue. All right. Iran's state-run IRNA news agency quoted the country's deputy police chief, Qasem Razei, accusing the Taliban of opening fire first Saturday morning on the border of Iran, Sistan, and Baluchistan province, and the Afghan province of Nimroz. IRNA said Iran, quote, inflicted heavy casualties and serious damage. Now, it's all debatable, a lot of noise. But from the Taliban's view, they accused Iran of shooting first. Tekar said that the firefighting killed 2 people, 1 from each country, and wounded others. That seems to be closer to the reality. The irony is that Iran is giving like China and Russia level statistics about this shit, and Afghanistan's given are the straight shooters, no pun intended in this. He described the situation as now being under control, which it is. It's stabilized after a couple of days. And apparently there's an advocacy group called Halvash there, so I feel half embedded in this. They fired mortars back and forth. Iran vowed to not let the Taliban attack stand. This is going to, by the way, this is not going away. This will be a regular thing going forward. That said, the most recent use of any U.S. military gear that we've seen, other than people driving around in the heat, has been the Taliban using it against Iran, which, man, I would love to see Glenn and Stu argue which side of that alligator versus jaguar fight they would be on. So, all right, back to our big dumb ideas from Glenn Beck.
We have no idea where that money is going to.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, do I have to do this again? Motherfucker, like every time. Let's see. This is a Financial Times. It's gonna make me do this, isn't it? Try to find it. I want to find a map where I can show you guys. Yeah, there we go. This is a pretty good example of it. This is from July 12th. This is Al Jazeera. So if anybody thinks it's the liberal press is giving this story, they can fuck off. This is Al Jazeera analysis. Ukraine rolls back 6 months of Russian gains in 5 weeks. Assessment of Ukraine's counteroffensive suggests it has retaken 253 square kilometers, 98 square miles of territory since June. Ukraine's counteroffensive slowed down visibly on the 72nd week of the war because of entrenched Russian defenses as NATO allies pledged more heavy weaponry for the fight. That assessment was given by Volodymyr Zelensky in an interview, but even as he spoke, the United States was helping to move Ukraine past that obstacle, pledging to give it cluster bombs designed for use against heavily fortified defensive positions. Other NATO allies meeting in Vilnius, Lithuania on Tuesday and Wednesday also announced significant new weapons pledges. Despite their battlefield difficulties, Ukrainian forces have continued to advance. Ukrainian General Staff says its forces seized 4 square miles over the previous week, and the eastern city of Bakhmut, around the eastern city of Bakhmut, that would bring to 162 square miles the territory Ukraine claims to have recaptured since its counteroffensive began on June 4th. The only thing that's holding them back is that they don't want to sacrifice men and gear on minefields. That's it. Once they can find their way around or through the minefields, it's fucking game over. But this is where the money is going. Let me tell you something. If the money was being siphoned off and wasn't going anywhere, do you think the Ukrainians would have any chance against an army the size of the Russians? If practically every dime wasn't making it to the front line or to support the front lines, do you think they'd be able to hold off an army the size of Russia's? What kind of an idiot? Honest to God, this fucker thinks that the Ukrainians have regained territory and have held their own and kept their capital from being seized and been able to take down like 88% of the aerial attacks that they've had against their country in the last 6 months because they're taking stuff we're giving them and selling them on the black market to whoever fucking wants them. Never mind the fact that they're surrounded by NATO allies, and the NATO allies are sending gear in too, and none of them are going, there's no, find me the dude in Poland who is swapping out U.S. gear for Polish gear out of the back of a fucking truck. then we'll talk. None of this is true. And let me tell you what. If I wanted, none of it is true, but if I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that the Ukrainians are selling gear that we're giving them, they're just selling it, it's all hitting the black market. You can't keep track of it, it's fucking gone. That means they are kicking Russia's ass with our skeleton crew leftovers. Maybe, just maybe, we should be on Ukraine's side in that case because they're a bunch of fucking badasses and you don't want them as an enemy then. The fuck?
It is common thought that we're losing at least 30%, and maybe...
No, it isn't. It is not common thought. First of all, Glenn doesn't have any common thoughts. Secondly, common thoughts amongst 30% of the electorate that are hardcore Donald Trump Russia nutsuckers.
Maybe as much as 70%.
All right, fuck off. Look, if you're saying Ukraine is kicking Russia's ass with 70% of the gear that we're sending them, fine. But if you're saying that they're kicking Russia's ass with 30% of the gear, why wouldn't they keep it an even 50-50 and just finish the fucking war? Good Lord, this is dumb. Does this guy actually... Do you think he actually hears what he's saying?
Through bribery and everything else that happens.
And what does that mean? Through bribery and everything else? Everything else. That's your catch-all? What's everything else? Everything else. You mean getting grain out of the country so half of Africa doesn't starve to death?
Over in Ukraine.
Oh, yeah, that's stuff that just happens over there. You know what? A lot more of it used to happen before Hunter Biden rode into fucking town and turned Burisma into a real company. How you like them apples?
The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese. Look.
So we are on the verge of World War III.
I thought we were at the tipping point of World War III. Verge? What's before verge? Isn't tipping point further along than verge? We're at the verge. Now we're at the tipping point. Nobody says we're at the tipping point. Now we're at the verge. That doesn't make any sense. Are we going backwards? Hey, maybe that's good luck. We were at the tipping point, and now we're back at the verge. Somebody roll back the 15 minutes to midnight.
With a country, by the way, the guy who's on tape saying, yeah, we bribed the Bidens. He's now an advisor for the president of Ukraine.
No, he's not.
Does this not bother anyone in the press?
What, Zlochevsky isn't an advisor to Zelensky.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and if you've listened to me for a long time, you know this to be absolutely...
Or does he think Rudy Giuliani is an advisor? What the fuck is he talking about? Say that again?
Does this not... For the bribed the guy who's on tape saying, yeah, we bribed the Bidens. He's now an advisor for the president of Ukraine.
What? Hold on. All right. Does anybody know what the ever-loving shit he's talking about? Mm-hmm. One second. Mm-hmm. According to Ukraine, there was... Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Recordings. Let's go to the recordings. So There was a, hold on one second, let me try to grab this. That would be number 3, 32, and 33. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Okay. So this is, just so you know, this is the guy, this is Mykola Zlochevsky. As far as anybody knows, he is in Monaco. He's let's see. He's known for Burisma Holdings, International University of Business and Law in Kherson, where he went. Okay, so in 2002, he co-founded government posts. Zlochevsky serves as Ecology and Natural Resources Minister during most of the first cabinet of Mykola Azarov. And during both the latter part of Azarov's first government and his second government, he served as Deputy Secretary of National Security Defense Council and President of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych. So he worked with Viktor Yanukovych. He was an advisor to this motherfucker. Now, this guy is the guy that Paul Manafort worked for. Stop it. I want that to stay up. This guy is the guy that Paul Manafort worked for and suggested to this guy, hey, here's what you do. Put snipers up in the towers, and we'll set up some agents provocateur in the crowd. We'll put them on radios, and they'll come and they'll start some violent shit. They'll throw some bricks at some cops. They'll do some stuff like that. And then we'll give the code. They'll run off. And in response to the violence that they start, your snipers can open fire on the crowd and kill people. And they, in fact, did. And this will give you an excuse because of the violence to have to put down everybody. You can just murder all these fuckers who are trying to do this. Now, if the Nazis were in charge and were running all this stuff, and they were, more than 9% of the forces or whatever, they were trying to, they were 9% of the people and 100% of the success. The idea that somehow they were caught off guard by this when none of them were harmed, but other people were. There were no Nazis that were alleged to have been shot by these snipers. None of the Nazis were mad that they'd lost people in the gunfighting. So it's interesting that they weren't there. I guess that's the issue that you'd run into. It gets a little murky. But Manafort himself, his own daughters won't talk to him anymore. And part of the reason is because he served their mother up to men he called up on Craigslist to take advantage of her when she is mentally disabled and have sex with her against her will while he watched. And he worked for this guy, and the other reason is because he helped arrange the assassination of innocent protesters who were unarmed. Okay, 2012, Viktor Pshonka, the Ukraine Inspector General, began investigating Burisma Holdings owner Zlochevsky after allegations of money laundering, tax evasion, and corruption. Now, Viktor Pshonka, this guy right here, is not Shokin. We'll get to that in a second. In April 2014, Burisma Holdings Board of Directors named Hunter Biden, son of U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, to Burisma's board as the director of Burisma, where he's said to have earned over $80,000 a month. The people have come in here. Joe Biden has been made the point man of Ukraine after February of 2014 because the fucking place fell when the pro-Russian president Viktor Yanukovych was ousted and fled. Yeah. Now, again, the idea that, says they waited till round 2 and they were going to serve this up and make this coup happen and Biden was going to run the whole thing, and I mean, it all falls apart. Okay. Then U.S. President Barack Obama's administration was prepared to work with the new government, a position shared with the European governments and institutions such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Both of them were going to give a bunch of money to help bail out Ukraine now that Yanukovych was gone so they could get back on it, and that was hard. But they were all concerned about Ukraine's corruption, which had plagued the country ever since it gained independence in the 1991 breakup of the Soviet Union. Biden became a frequent visitor to Ukraine. By his own account, Biden said he went there about a dozen times from early 2014 to early 2016. In April 2014, the Serious Fraud Office of the United Kingdom froze approximately $23 million belonging to companies controlled by Zlochevsky. At the end of 2014, Zlochevsky fled Ukraine amid allegations of unlawful self-enrichment and legalization of funds during his tenure in public office. In January 2015, Prosecutor General Vitaly Yarema announced that Zlochevsky had been put on the wanted list for alleged financial corruption. At the end of 2015, the Central Criminal Court in London released the $23 million that were blocked in accounts by Zlochevsky due to inadequate evidence. Now, I don't know, is there video of of Joe Biden getting a British prosecutor fired? Does anybody have that footage? All right. In June 2018, the Serious Fraud Office stated that the case was closed. This is in 2018. In early November 2014, Deutsche Bank reported $24 million in funds from his companies were wired from Cyprus to Latvia branch of the Privat Bank, the bank co-owned by oligarch Dnipropetrovsk region Ihor Kolomoisky, and nationalized at the end of 2016. Zlochevsky returned to Ukraine in February 2018 after the investigations into Burisma Holdings had been completed in December 2017 with no charges filed against him. And then, now remember, the Shokin case that Shokin had built that didn't go anywhere, which resulted in this fucker coming back. Then the guy that Shokin was that replaced Shokin starts building his own case. Not this squat version of shit that the other guy had wrecked that they probably couldn't use because the guy was corrupt because Shokin got shut down and he was using a bunch of sketchy shit to try to. So the whole case blew up. So this guy starts from scratch. On April 18th, 2018, an alleged recording of a conversation between President Petro Poroshenko and fugitive Ukrainian lawmaker Alexander Onichenko was released by Onichenko, which implicated Zlochevsky in graft. And this is unrelated. This is, keep in mind, what you are hearing about Zlochevsky saying at this point and after that he has recordings of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Remember that. He says he has recordings of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden that he was going to use in case he gets in a, quote, a tight spot. And then in 2018, and this is around the same time, this is before he has all these, the final meeting between these fuckers is in 2020, wherever he was, or 2019. So he had all these recordings preceding this, well before 2018. This is from 2014, 2016, something like that. Again, once Biden's no longer in office, it's a jerk off. Nobody cares. But before that, he's saying he has recordings. And he's going to keep in case he's in a tight spot. Ultimately, he gets busted because of other people having him on recording. Now, why would he not use those recordings to save his own ass at this point, if indeed they point in that direction? But Joe Biden promised me, blah, 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 because Trump is in power at this point. Trump would love this shit, even if Biden's not going to run, to dirty up the Obama-Biden administration and shit talk them in the middle of his fucking, his own impeachment trial or during the Mueller report. You don't think he would have rewarded this motherfucker handily? Where are they? Okay. On June 15, 2018, after the Solomyansky district in Kiev had annulled the ruling of the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office to close a criminal proceeding against him in 2017, Zlochevsky was accused of having illegally issued, while he was an ecology minister in 2010 to 2012, oil and gas licenses to companies that belonged to him. According to Ukrainian authorities, Zlochevsky is suspected of theft of government funds on a especially large scale. Authorities said the criminal investigation on suspicion of embezzlement is currently on hold because Zlochevsky's whereabouts cannot be presently determined. As of 2019, Zlochevsky is reported to live in Monaco. According to an investigation by Al Jazeera, he bought Cypriot citizenship somewhere between 2017 and 2019. So he's in Cyprus. Now wait. Why? Oh, why, dear reader? Why is Cyprus so much in the recent memory of everybody that is dealing with this? The Bidens are corruptness. Why? Well, because of this fella. Because Gal Luft, the U.S. citizen who was charged with arms trafficking and acting as a Chinese agent, had fled Israel, a country with which the United States has an agreement about fugitives and trading prisoners and the like, and went to Cyprus, which we don't. But he was snatched up by Interpol and then managed to bug out. So Zlochevsky has citizenship, bought citizenship in a country where Gal Luft was found when he fled the country recently. Do you see what I'm laying down? Can I get an amen in the chat room and all about who but yourself, I mean, puts these things together for you to enjoy as much as, hey, well, thank you so much. I appreciate the amens and the a-whats and the a-womens and the a-wymens. Absolutely. And hallelujah. So let's bless your heart. Thank you so much. Look at you. A-women, absolutely. Several, if you can handle it. And I think that I can. Amen and testify. Can I get a well? Can I get a well? Can I get a well? Can I get a ho? Oh. Allah Akbar. I'll take it. Can you dig it? Right. Who else who puts it all together for you? Who does it for you like this? I mean, I actually do for you what this idiot right here pretends to do. That's what his big fucking chalkboards and all this stuff. Where's it? Glenn, where's the chalkboard? Where's the chalkboard, motherfucker? Where's your chalkboard? Why do you not have a chalkboard up right now where you can write down, Zlovchevsky bought citizenship in Cyprus, but nobody knows where the fuck he is right now. They think he's living in Monaco, but nobody can tell. And Gal Luft, interestingly enough, fled Israel when he knew there was a warrant out for him and flew to Cyprus, where Zlovchevsky, another guy who's on Team Putin, bought citizenship. Jesus Christ, this is stupid. But I'm glad he's this dumb, I have to say. I don't want to get too Mike Pillow that, this is all part of God's plan. But it's helpful that he's this thick and this much of an idiot about all this, because it helps me to convey just how on the nose and crap this is.
Does this not bother anyone in the press?
Yes, your whole show bothers me, and I'm technically in the press now, because I'm a pundit, and I'm doing some journalism right now. I journalized right a second ago. I did what journalists do, I just spoke it. I didn't write it down, that's all. I vlogged it instead of I journaled it, but that's it. I'm all right. I'm going to be okay. We'll get through this. Son of a bitch.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and...
Well, don't start now.
If you've listened to me for a long time, you know this to be absolutely true. If half of this would have been found about Donald Trump, I would have been screaming for impeachment.
No, that's a lie. First of all, half of zero is zero. So this is all politispeak. You are tap dancing around this, you dumb motherfucker. If half of are you fucking kidding me? There's direct evidence in the E. Jean Carroll case, motherfucker. The court just found that the jury agreed that Donald Trump is a rapist. Don't start with this half at the half nonsense. Because again, if you are going to, if you're going to sell a case based on the idea that someone was bribed to do something, you have to prove three things. One, that they were bribed. You have to show the money left here and went there, okay? And you haven't. You could say you think Hunter Biden doesn't know what he's doing and how did he get such a fee and blah, 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 but that doesn't matter. That was the job. Everybody else at his level on the board got that kind of money too, so fuck off. Were they all getting bribed? Is it all just, well, then make that case against Burisma and knock yourself the fuck out. Try. Go for it. Whatever. But you have to prove the money was a bribe payment. Not, you can't say, I can't believe they earned that money, therefore must be. That doesn't qualify. You got to prove that the money was spent. You also have to prove that they did something in exchange for that money. You have to prove that, well, I would say that the third one would be, you'd have to prove that a thing was done that was out of character for the person. This is without the connecting tissue. Money was paid, and for no other reason than could possibly be there, but some activity, and then an activity that they would not have engaged in but for being paid to do so. Nothing that they would have done anyways qualifies. Nobody gets bribed to do shit they were gonna do anyways. And anybody who brags about something they were bribed to do knows that the only sucker in this situation is the idiot who bribed them because they were gonna fucking do it anyways. And then the third thing, you have to connect these two. You have to have connecting tissue. It's not enough that you see money changing hands and you don't think it was worth it. And it's not enough that you see them doing things that you think is out of character or something they wouldn't normally do. You have to prove the connection between the other two activities. You gotta read between the lines there, Glenn, you fucking chump. Because otherwise it's not bribery. Bribery is that connective tissue. Because people do things that you disagree with, or you think is out of character, or you think they shouldn't do all the fucking time. And people apparently get paid to do things that you don't think they're actually doing, or, I mean, I can't imagine the amount of contempt this motherfucker has for people who work at the Blaze. But it's still not enough. Legally, you must show, to prove bribery in this situation, that money was taken in the first place, an activity was participated that was out of character for the person, and both of those things would not have happened but for the other. Now, that's much harder to do on the receiving end of a bribe, especially if it's, reasonably within the skill set of who you're asking somebody to do. If you're bribing somebody to act way outside of character, it usually won't even work because it'll be so obvious to people. So it's got to be within the narrow scope of what they're doing, but it's got to be on the outer edges of it at the very least. But it's still hard to prove on the receiving end side because, there's a thin line between what Glenn apparently thinks is bribery and what the other, what he also believes is compromat against Hunter Biden, because this motherfucker can't decide whether they were paid to do this or whether they're being blackmailed to do it. And in the case of character, that's a very big distinction. Because if you do something to get a yacht, or you do something to get your children back who are being held hostage, the same amount of money might exchange hands, right? One direction versus the other. But the why really does matter. And this asshole can't even decide which one it is. And the idea that he would look at what Donald Trump did on his phone call with Vladimir Zelensky, withholding weapons, knowing full well in his conversations with Putin that they had an intention to attack that country. And that they were just going to wait until his second term when he couldn't really, it wouldn't affect him negatively. He's like, well, that's their land, and I don't know, but NATO's the fucking problem, and yada, yada. And then family enriches itself, and then he enters the field of oligarchs. That's the goal. I think that's fairly obvious. I wouldn't be comfortable in a court of law if somebody just said that and the jury went, sounds right to me. But he would, as long as we're not talking about Trump, we're talking about Joe Biden.
Why is no one in the Democratic Party. And
I'm in the Democratic Party, for the record. I'm a Democratic voter. I'm not a party official or anything like that, but I think of it myself as like an honorary Democratic official. Doesn't that work? I'm an honorary party chair. You know what I'm saying? I think so. Honorary party chair, Hal Sparks, the Democratic machine. So I feel comfortable speaking on all of this stuff.
No one in the media.
Excuse me. Look, I know it's YouTube and Twitch and all these kind of things, but it's you and I are on the same fucking networks, dum-dum. Don't give me this shit about in the media. I'm in the media. If you're in the media, I'm in the media.
Do they not respect their own freedom and their own country enough? Are you?
You don't, to what? Not air third-tier hearsay allegations against a sitting president without more evidence? Gee, I don't know what we've all come to. Do you ever think he watches All the President's Men and roots for Nixon?
That blind and stupid? What is it you're getting? What is it that you think is worth selling your country out for?
What are they selling out? How are they selling out the country? What? In what way? In what way?
Your president is not just a liar. There is good evidence now, and
no, there isn't.
And it is from the FBI.
No, it isn't. It was given to the FBI. It's not from the FBI. The FBI didn't go find some shit based on it. They came up bupkis. It's not from the FBI. They took it from the... Look, if I can roll into... Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's roll back to Believe All Women, shall we? Let's roll back to me fucking too. You think this asshole thinks that any woman who walks in and says, I was raped by Donald John Trump, if you get a copy of their allegation, you think this asshole would say, that is from the police? That is that's from law enforcement. You think that's how he would say it? You think that's how he would you think if half of it was true? You think he'd go with it like this? Get the fuck out of here. Of course not.
You have to do a lot more. But if this stuff is true,
it's not. It's not. I'm telling you, it's fucking not. I'm comfortable saying that. It's not. Because you're fully comfortable saying it is absolutely and that the president is a liar because of it. So since we're both in the same boat as far as the information available, and as in terms of the legal ramifications of this shit, I am way more comfortable in calling bullshit on single allegations from Biden forces within the Trump crowd, especially coming from fucking Cyprus. Do you realize that Zlochevsky lives in Cyprus now? Gal Luft was arrested in Cyprus, and Wilbur Ross was the head of the Bank of Cyprus. You want to just dive into that? Put that on your fucking chalkboard.
Your president is not just a liar. Your president is a traitor to our country.
How? How? Even if all the stuff about Ukraine is true, it's just that would be like low-level graft overseas. It didn't fuck with us at all. As a matter of fact, we got our money back. The United States ultimately, if God willing, Ukraine is successful in this, will get paid back with interest because of Lend-Lease. Same way we were with the UK after World War II.
That's not worth investigating. That's not worth looking into. That's not worth...
They did, dummy. They sent people to fucking Brussels to meet with Gal Luft, and he lied to them. And then he fled to Cyprus, just like Zlochevsky did.
Talking about?
Again, The only reason it's worth talking about is because you're an idiot, and this is hilarious.
Are you kidding me? The FBI didn't investigate any of this. I'd like to know the names. I'd like to know the names of everybody who saw this and said we shouldn't investigate.
Okay, nobody did that. Nobody said that. They looked into it and they went, "This is fucking nothing. The guy's gone. We don't even know where the fuck he is, and the CHS won't come back in. He's gone. Everybody involved in this is a fucking crook." And this guy's what are we going to use as what's the evidence? Third tier chopped audio. What's he going to give us? 17 recorded phone calls, and we're going to verify all 17 of those that they actually happened on the date, and everybody involved. Poroshenko's going to be a fucking witness in this. Are you an idiot?
This is from, according to the FBI, a trusted confidential source.
Right. Well, they used to trust Rudy Giuliani, and now they don't anymore. Trusted past tense.
The FBI, went to Russia to try to find the P room on Donald Trump.
The P room? Okay, P tape. The question wasn't where it happened, motherfucker, and they weren't going to take fucking urine samples from the bed sheets. I assume they have been laundered in the last decade. And no, they didn't. What the hell?
This wasn't worth investigating?
Apparently not. Apparently they had less evidence that this was true than they had of Donald Trump asking hookers to urinate on a bed where Barack Obama had slept just because fuck that place. That's why.
And by the way,
also, it is official now. According to Glenn Beck, there's not just a P tape. There's a whole P room. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be hard to find as long as anybody ate some asparagus.
I just have to point out the investigative team and our head researcher, Jason Buttrill, is truly remarkable.
Oh, great. So they've got the evidence. They went and looked into it. They've talked to Zlochevsky. Did they meet him? Did they find him?
We were ahead of the game by how many years? I mean, if you watched my show on the impeachment of Donald Trump and you saw our investigation into Ukraine, you know all of this. We showed you the documents. We were the only ones at the time.
At the time. Which documents would those be? The ones that, the Black Ledger where Yanukovych and the Russians paid Donald Trump's campaign manager? Those kind of documents? What are you talking about?
You're not surprised by this. What is crazy to me is this is a surprise to everybody else now. My investigative team can prove much of this.
No, they can't. And by the way, if that were true, if any of that were true, like, let me explain to you something. Okay. While this video has been going on, while I have been watching this dipshit talk about this stuff, and I have shown you multiple sources of where the people involved are, who, at what point they were there, the actual content of well, here, shit. Let me show you the document itself, the IMF's $1 billion payments that were related to why Biden told them to fuck off unless Shokin goes. The fact that it did not stop. There you go. Where the money's going, what happened to Zlochevsky's whereabouts is, this motherfucker just told you that Zlochevsky is an advisor to Vladimir Zelensky right now. He just said that in this video, not a couple of years ago, not during the impeachment, not with his crack investigative team. He said that just now. Just the dumb And then, of course, this is the only recording that we know of that exists in relation to Zlochevsky is this guy Onyshenko releasing a recording that is of Poroshenko, the guy who replaced Yanukovych and precedes Zelensky. The mid guy, the guy who is just kind of coming out of the old corruption and hopefully helping to balance the country, but not fully there yet and dealing with all this. Yeah, talking to Zlochevsky about graft. Fugitive lawmaker Alexander Onchenko, late on April 18th, published what he claimed to be a recording implicating President Petro Poroshenko and ex-President Viktor Yanukovych's ecology minister Mykola Zlochevsky in corrupt deals. The presidential administration responded to the recording saying by April that fakes do not require comments. The national, and by the way, you think that Zlochevsky learned anything from that experience? Nope. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine said it would be investigating the recordings if Onyshenko provided the originals. The NABU has charged him with stealing $64 million from state-owned gas producer Ukradjedovanya, which he denies. He fled Ukraine before he was stripped of his parliamentary immunity in 2016. Zlochevsky currently owns the biggest number of oil and gas licenses in Ukraine, a whopping 38 permits. By the way, this is a paper from 2018. The Европейская Pravda news website reported in February, citing an unnamed source of the gas market, that Zlochevsky had returned to Ukraine after fleeing it in 2014. I met Zlochevsky in Dubai, and he's already resolving the issue with Ihor. He tells the person he alleges to be Poroshenko in the January 2016 recording that he released, referring to Ihor Kononenko, a top lawmaker and Poroshenko's close ally. Zlochevsky asked me to tell you to offer something to you when he meets Ihor. Ihor is interested only in gas supplies to his firms. He said that Zlochevsky had bought a hydraulic fracturing company and a firm called Kuldzik Holding. Zlochevsky is ready to conclude contracts with Naftogaz and other state companies. Oh, why is that? Why is that coming? Okay, so Naftogaz is one of the other and other state companies, and give you 50% of the company and split the profits 50-50. Why is Naftogaz? Why is Naftogaz? Let's see. Why is it important that guy who allegedly has this? Hold on one second. I gotta. Oh, this is so good. Yeah. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. Yeah, I hope you guys are too. I'm going I know I've been on this one for a bit, but there's a lot to unpack here. All I have to do is look at this thing. Okay. So this is remember this whole thing? This is that thing that Chuck Grassley just released. Right. Okay. Naftogaz is mentioned in here. Purpose of sewage, 23 million. Ostapenko and polling whether stages were Burisma's board of directors, yada yada. 2 months after they bring in this point where he goes. Oh, this is later. But he goes in to meet with these two guys in the two guys he meets in Houston. Master recordings will have made certain the deal fell apart. Blah blah blah. It took place during the week of U.S.-based petroleum business. Okay, here we go. Briefly discussed under Biden, but the topic was not relevant to Burisma's interest in acquiring petroleum business for 50 to 100 million, which by the way went up and whatever. 2019 phone call. I'm gonna find this is gonna drive me crazy. 17 recordings, blah, blah, general figure. Zlochevsky stated he had 2 documents CHS advisor made regarding the aforementioned into this matter, currently worked in some office of administration President Zelensky. Okay, yeah. Regarding aforementioned Alexander Ostapenko, alternate spelling, who originally introduced CHS in this matter, Ostapenko currently works in some office for the administration of President Zelensky and also works for Valery Vavilov, who is a founder, CEO of cryptocurrency and blockchain. Oh, I see. So this is he's saying that Ostapenko is actually the guy. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm going to, let's see. 1 second. Mm-hmm. Oh, the site can't be reached. You rude person, you. All right, I'll have to find that later. We'll call it up because I lost it in my pile of stuff. It's hard to keep track. I need a chalkboard.
What the hell are we doing?
Also, if you have all this information, why didn't you show it like I've been showing my shit? Show your work. What, do you not have enough screens?
America, you have got to stand up.
Shut the fuck up. Man who is sitting and who sits all the time. I am standing. I changed my show so I could do it standing. I got a stand-up desk so that I wouldn't be unhealthy while doing my show because I'm in this for the long haul, you chump.
You have got to be screaming bloody murder.
Why? No one has been murdered. There is no blood. Can you scream grafty bribery?
You have got to send a message to Washington. Enough.
Yes. Write them a letter that says, in so many words, I'm a big dum-dum. I believe what Glenn Beck tells me. I am as thick as a whale omelet.
Is enough. And quite honestly, Democrats and independents, if you sit on the sidelines on this.
I'm not on the sidelines. I'm straddling your fucking forehead. Look up. You'll see my nuts.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Oh, fuck off. All right, look. This asshole is defending Vladimir Putin's actions in Ukraine. And after Bucha and the abduction of children, he can fuck off with this idea that somehow he's morally superior to anybody. But even the crimes he's bitching about are low level. The United States economy is $26 trillion a year, GDP. 26 trillion. He's talking about graft around oil and gas pipelines in and around the $2 million mark after taxes. I'm sorry, but even if I believed this shit, which I do not, the idea that you would put it on the same scale as the unwarranted attack by Russia on Ukraine, as if Ukraine fucking had it coming, or this ongoing China's gonna eat our lunch bullshit, we're just gonna have to give them Taiwan unless we want to get nuked because they've got so many people and so much stuff and we don't have access to all that storyline. You're gonna parallel the Uyghur genocide and the enslavement of people, literally fucking Xinjiang cotton, you dumb motherfucker. You're gonna parallel those two, allegedly some after office graft that had zero effect on America's national security. Fucking zero. CFC's deal didn't happen because Hunter Biden woke up to the fact that it was a honeypot and told him to go pound sand. And they paid him some goodbye money and decided, well, maybe we'll use this later to rein in Biden. It didn't work. Same thing with Ukraine. Ukraine under Zelensky is not the same country it was under Yanukovych. And anybody who asserts it is either a bigot on purpose, trying to like side with the racist ideas of Russia and go with the I guess the Roseanne, he's not one of the good Jews idea with Zelensky. Or you simply believe that they don't have the right to exist and you should just fucking say so. Join Jackson Hinkle and Aaron Mate and Jimmy Dore and go, even the babies are Nazis. bulldoze the fucking place. Have the guts to say it. Normally, I don't get this agitated at Glenn because he's usually just a big silly, but he's being fucking gross right now.
If we lose this country...
We're not going to lose this country. You're losing your mind, I think, is the concern.
Which we are damn close to losing it.
It's because women... It's because the pay gap got too small, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I think I know why. I know why he's upset. Hold on. Keep trying to... Okay. Yeah, I think I know. When these guys say we're going to lose our country, we're losing our country, we're going to lose our country, we're losing it, and we're losing it's kind of we're lost. Sometimes I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? And then sometimes I see stories and I'm like, oh, I don't agree with their assessment, but this is what they're talking about. The gender wage gap is now the smallest it's been since it started being tracked in 1979. The future seemed bleak for working women after 2 decades of little progress in closing the pay gap and pandemic-induced recession, but the U.S. might be a small step closer to achieving equality for women in the workplace, or at least in their paychecks. The difference in earnings between full-time working women and men is now the narrowest on record, according to an Axios analysis of data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which was published earlier this week. Full-time working women had median weekly earnings of $1,001 last quarter, about 84% of the $1,181 median for men. It's the smallest gap the gap has been since 1979, the first year for which the earnings data is available. That year, women's median earnings were 62% of men's. It is officially, the percentage of difference is the lowest it has ever been. And if it continues in this direction, we're fucking doomed, right, Glenn? That's who they're losing the country to. That's just one of them. But you can see where the panic comes from. I'm fine. I'm fine. How are you? All right.
If we lose this country, you will forever be remembered as...
No, we won't, because the country will be gone and nobody will remember any of it. Who are there going to be history books if the winner writes the history books and everybody loses?
Doing nothing when our nation was in its greatest peril.
Okay, our nation is not in its greatest fucking peril right now. Stop it. Stop. Stop this Pearl Harbor fuck. These are the same people who tell you that the attack on the Capitol by thousands of people who built a fucking gallows and intended to shoot the Speaker of the House, the first woman Speaker of the House, in the fucking head. Those people apparently are, we were overreacting to say that's the worst thing since the Civil War. But this motherfucker thinks that manufacturing going up and the lowest unemployment rates in the United States in 60 years is the end of the world. May I remind you that these dumb fucks started this video by complaining that Stu has to go see Oppenheimer at 9 o'clock in the morning because he wants to see it on IMAX and they're all sold out. Do you know how blazingly full of shit, no pun intended, you have to be?
If we don't restore the honor and the integrity of our law and justice system and the integrity of our Oval Office and the presidency,
by putting an admitted sexual assaulter who thinks he can grab women by the pussy, who's son-in-law got a $2 billion deal from the Saudis after he left, who received a $17 million payment while he was president of the United States in a Chinese bank account, of which he withdrew 15 million of it afterwards, who cremated his dead second wife, buried her at his fucking golf course in a coffin for some reason that was apparently way heavier than a bunch of ashes. And then he had boxes and boxes of classified documents at his rental property in Florida and brought some of them to Bedminster, where he started hosting a Saudi golf tournament. And whose defense in his most current rape case is, she's not attractive enough for me to rape. What the fuck are you talking about?
You can sell your country out, and it doesn't matter to the American people. We are finished as a nation, and we deserve to be finished.
We deserve to be finished. Go to commercial. We deserve to be finished. And that's why I'm selling Patriot buckets. Eat what's in it, get diarrhea, shit right in the bucket, and seal it up. It's perfect for your own, prep yourself. And then after a while, you can recook your own excrement. Trust me, it'll work. Just wait a long while. I know what you're thinking. The radiation will have killed me by then. I hope so, because I would hate to see the Yelp reviews. What a dick. I can't believe that one 12-minute video took me 2 goddamn hours, but I kind of can. Kind of can. But again, this largely has to do. All right, let's jump into this. I'm going to do this is shorter. I won't do all of it. We're going to do samples of the rest of these because I don't need to do all this.
2024 Democratic President.
Oh dear, Greta Van Susteren took this guy's time slot. How very, very sad.
Presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joins me. Nice to see you.
Good to be back, Greta.
Okay.
Is it really? First of all, back? Does he still think she's at Fox? Also, loving the color coordination. Fabulous. The folders. She's definitely got her staff on a short leash. What is this? Did they conduct kindergarten in the middle of this?
Anti-Semitism. It's a
okay, that's where you're going for your cleanup. Oh shit, this is the entry. It's nice to be back here. Anti-Semitism. You know what? I take it back. It's not nice to be here. Fuck you.
Hi, Greta.
Okay. Anti-Semitism. It's a terrible thing.
It is. It is. Thanks for bringing it up. See, that's why we like Greta. Greta says the tough stuff, man.
Family members who are Jewish, and it pains me.
I have family members who are Jewish, and that's why I hate it. I hate it because then I have to see them, but they come over, but they don't like coming over. We make them come over for Christmas, and it's I hate it. You know, if I didn't have any Jewish relatives, I guess I'd be fine. I guess, you know what I mean? That's the problem with anti-Semites. They're rude.
Immensely. I believe it exists, but there's not.
You believe it exists?
One bone in my body that thinks she's anti-Semitic, and I just want to.
There's not one bone in her body that thinks he's anti-Semitic. This is a mess. This is did he just go through his old? I used to fuck Greta back in the day. I did. She's got an asterisk next to her name. I'll call her. There's not one bone in my body that thinks you're anti-Semitic. Please let his response be, would you like one? I'm sorry. I'm going. I can't. I'm not following. I'm not going anywhere near that shit. Oh God, I'm sorry. That's so wrong. Stop it. All right, I'm done. Because I like anything else after that will ruin it. I love you guys. I have radio in the morning, so I got to prep for that, which means I have to go through this shit from this guy and listen to it. God help me. But I got to go feed the family first. So, I don't have one anti-Semitic bone in my body. Would you like one? Oh, God. I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell. Going to hell, and you're going with me, you bastards. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you so much again for your Venmo generosity, helping us get a computer. Just take a picture of that with your phone. If you use Venmo, you can, and that's Cash App. And there's a PayPal, and they recycle it. Yeah, roll back, rewind. You'll find one where it has the one you use, and you can take a picture with your phone and help out the show and help me get a new computer and grow this thing. And eventually, I'll have as many screens as Glenn Beck. And but until then, it's just me and this IKEA stand-up desk. Well, it's not true. The stand-up desk it was a gift from Summer. I had to put it together, but it was a gift. The little extension desk that I have that actually has my keyboard on it that I needed so that I'm not up in your grill, so the camera has some distance so I can actually, you don't need to know this, is like it's an IKEA desk, and the legs are stretched as far as they can go. They will, like, if once the stand-up desk is in position, with this thing, like, it's so teetery because I've literally extended these legs to they're out. You know what I mean? So until then, I will stand by my rickety IKEA desk and my patchwork of monitors. It is not chip-proof at all. I know exactly what that looks like. You absolutely do, CSL. One day, I hope, if I can afford it, that I'll be able to buy 2 extra monitors and the kidney. Love you guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for subscribing. Come on, everybody. Subscribe right today. Come on. Everybody wants to subscribe. All right. Subscribe right now. Come on, everybody. Subscribe to the show. Okay. Wait. I'm gonna run out of time. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Sylvia Wise. Happy birthday to you. All right. Phew.